May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be always acceptable to you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Please be seated. Last week, we began a 4-week sermon series on Paul's first letter to the church in Corinth. We spent time with the opening of the letter where Paul speaks with remarkable generosity about this community. He names their spiritual vitality, and he tells them plainly, there is no spiritual gift lacking among you. With all these gifts, it seems like it would be going brilliantly in Corinth, but instead there are problems. Paul reads these problems not as evidence of failure, but as signs that the church's focus has shifted away from Christ toward something else. We know a story from the Gospel of Matthew that beautifully illustrates what happens when our eyes move away from God. Imagine you're crossing a large lake in a very small sailboat, and a storm begins. And it gets worse. The waves are relentlessly lapping at the boat, and your sails are filled with winds, and they're conflicting, and so the boat is stuck in the middle of the storm. It cannot get to safety, and then night falls. Peter and the disciples were frightened for their very lives. And then they see someone walking toward them. It is Jesus walking on the water. Peter, and only Peter, calls out, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you, and I will come." Jesus says, "Come." Peter steps out. He is not lacking in faith. One foot and then the other. He's literally walking on water. Real risk, real faith, real life. And then the wind catches his attention. And Peter's eyes shift from Jesus to the danger around him, and he begins to sink. That sinking is the sign. It tells us that Peter has become more aware of the physical world around him than of the Son of God standing before him. The trouble in Corinth looks different, but the dynamic is the same. Paul names what he sees: division, factions, loyalties organized around personalities and power. For Paul, these are not merely social problems or failed relationships. They are symptoms, signs that something deeper has gone wrong, and the community's focus has become dislocated. When our attention drifts from Christ, Paul says, there are signs, and one of the clearest signs is disunity among those who claim the same Lord. There are many challenges in our world today. The struggle for power and security is as real today as it was in Corinth. And for the past couple of days, all of Dallas-Fort Worth has been pretty much homebound because we are all covered in ice, sleet, and snow. It's a rough time to work for the post office. We worry about the power grid in Texas. Those are words I never thought would seep into my everyday vocabulary. Will we have heat? Will we have electricity? Will we have food? We turn on the news and listen to anger and contempt passing as political discourse, or we notice someone huddled under a bridge overpass just trying to stay warm and dry. These, too, are signs of fear, signs of competition for control and security, signs of a world that has lost its focus. And into that world, Paul does not offer a strategy for winning. He offers Christ crucified. The cross stands quietly behind today's passage because it governs everything Paul says. Because for Paul, Christian identity is determined not by who taught you, who led you, or who impressed you. Christian identity is determined by who was crucified for you. That is the non-negotiable center of belonging. This is why Paul's questions cut so sharply. Has Christ been divided? Was Paul crucified for you? Only one thing can stand at the center of the church's life together: the self-giving love of God revealed on the cross. And when that center is displaced by human wisdom, human authority, or the struggle for power, the result is not merely disagreement, but fragmentation. The cross recenters our attention because it redefines power itself, not as dominance or control, but as love poured out for the sake of the world. Here in the warmth of St. Matthew's and St. Christopher's, we are given an extraordinary opportunity, not to escape the world, but to practice a different way of being human in it. When it feels like we are sinking, we can reach out to one another. We can pray together. We can listen before we argue. We can share meals, make a phone call to check on a friend, or just show up. We can speak honestly about the cultural shifts we are living through without needing to defeat the other person in the process. We do not have to see the world in the same way, but we do have to keep our focus on the same Christ. And that requires humility. It requires the courage to say, like Peter, "Lord, save me," and the trust to believe that Christ's hand is already extended. It requires communities willing to do what Chloe did, to notice when things are unraveling, and rather than retreat, to reach out. Peter's moment of seeking was not a failure of faith. It was a very human moment in a real faith journey. All of us have those moments. The good news is that we're not meant to endure them alone. We have this community, not as a place of perfection, but as a place of reorientation, a place where, again and again, we help one another lift our eyes, regain our focus, and remember who it is we are walking toward. Amen.